Hi everyone, Diana here, coming to you with messages for this week for November 26th to December the 2nd. Oh my golly, it's the end of November already. And thank you, by the way, for all of those who wish me happy birthday wishes. And I wish every one of you a happy birthday, whatever your birthday is. So let's get started. I want to first of all clarify something I said last week. I'm forgetting now at the moment. I've re-listened to it, but when I was saying that it would be the sexual scandals that would bring the president of the U.S. down, what I was referring to there is not the legalities, and I do not in any way want to undermine, not that I could undermine, but I don't want to negate in any way the importance of the Mueller investigation. That is the legal, and those legalities will get him out of office. That's pretty, it's written on the wall. It's pretty clear that that's what's going to get him out of office. However, public opinion will also plays a role here. And the way he sexualized both of his daughters and the way he has been accused by women, including his ex-wife, of sexual misconduct, shall we say. All right, even sexual assault. That will sway public opinion. So it's coming at this family from all angles. And I don't think he'll go to prison, although I think he has committed acts that probably could land him in prison. I do think some of those around him will, probably his son-in-law, but I don't think anyone carrying the Trump name. I think he'll make a deal. So I hope I've clarified that the legalities, that will actually get him out of office, but it's the public opinion will help sway that along. And the public opinion is extremely important, because if we only have him leaving office without the public opinion behind him, that creates problems, another set of problems within the country. Okay, that's cleared up. This week, we've just celebrated here in the U.S. Thanksgiving, and I know Canada celebrated their Thanksgiving, I don't know if it was a few weeks or a few months ago, but not too long ago. And not everyone in the country celebrates Thanksgiving, so I want to honor our Native Americans in this country, which I have a little bit of Delaware in my ancestry. There is a line that comes up from the marriage from Scots, Irish, and also some Irish ancestors that came over back in the 1700s and intermingled and married and had families with the Native Americans. So I have some of that in my ancestry. I still celebrate Thanksgiving. I see it as a day of thanks, a day of being happy with family and being thankful for what we have and giving to others. So perhaps I look at it a little bit differently. But I also, and I hope all of you out there had a lovely day of thanks and giving with your families and loved ones. I'm very fortunate to have a loving family to share the holidays with. Now, that said, I don't want to negate the violence that this country perpetuated on the natives who were here before, the Native Americans, the people of origin, the first peoples. They were here long before my Scotch-Irish ancestors came over, and long before my Irish ancestors came over. The sad thing to me when I think of Thanksgiving, I also just finished reading a book. It's a novel. It's Edward Rutherford, The Princess of Ireland, and in reading this book and finishing up around Thanksgiving, it came to me that that all countries, it seems like, have been invaded by others, and England and Europe, parts of Europe were terrible. They invaded each other and invaded this country and invaded Ireland. And one of the lines in there that I thought was so interesting, the within the novel, was that it looked like it was a religious war. And one of the characters said, it's about the money. And I thought about that. And I thought, in the early stages of a country, it's about how many cattle you have, how much land you have. And if someone can come in and take that from you, whether it's another country or your own countrymen can take that from you, that makes them wealthy and you less wealthy. And what I'm seeing in my country today is the wealthy are taking from those who can least afford it, and also destroying a middle class. And that saddens me. And it in many ways is broken along religious lines. The strong Christian right is on this side, and the non-Christian or the non-Christian right is over here, and we're losing that whole middle ground. And that saddens me, because I think that's where the people are, most of us. So what can we do about it? Well, you've heard me say it before. We can take care of our own lives. That doesn't mean we don't speak out against injustice. We certainly do. But we must create in our own lives love. And for those, I have to laugh, sorry. But for those of you who tell me love is namby-pamby, love it that I'm an airhead, and how dare you call my viewers a name, because I come after you if you call my viewers a name. I'm a dog with a bone when you hurt my viewers. And for those viewers who stand up for me, thank you. So you want to call me names. Okay, that speaks highly of you. Or not. It doesn't say anything about me. But let me tell you, love and practicing love is the most difficult thing we'll ever do in our lives. Love is an action verb. And we see examples of it all the time. And for those of you who are writing and saying, this is hard, but I'm really trying to do it. And thank you, Diana, because you're inspiring me to do it. Thank you. Thank you for spreading that love. Let me give you some examples. Love, and when I say an action verb, I mean put it into action. Love is blessing the driver who cuts you off when you would rather say other words. Love is smiling at the cashier who's been on her feet all day. Love is thanking the mechanic for fixing your car. You know, the car I drive is it's getting old. It's a Toyota, and I love it. And it has it has tires that probably I need to be thinking about replacing before the winter comes, or at least keep having them checked. But here where I live, the weather changes, and one day it may be 72 degrees and the next day it's 32 degrees. And so that's hard on the tires, and the air goes in and out. I don't put air in my tires anymore. I let somebody else do it for me. And so I was in the dealership the other day. I stopped just long enough to have air put in the tires, and I mentioned to the service manager how very nice the young man was and how kind he was to do this for me. And the service manager looked at me and he said, he just said that about you, that I'm kind. Well, that felt good. And when you hear things like that, it feels good, because what it's telling you is what you're putting out is coming back. And believe me, my friends, what we put out into the world comes back to us in our lives. And there are those times we can see that directness coming right back. There are other times it takes much longer for us to be able to see how it came back. It goes back a few years now, but I had a motorcycle spill. I know I don't look like a motorcycle rider, but I loved it. And I was just out playing with some friends one day, and I hit a rough patch in the road. It had, they put down on some of our back roads what's called tar and chip, or chip and tar, I'm not sure which. But anyway, what it is like writing on marbles with wet tar. So you've got the tar and you've got the little pebble stones, and you're trying to write on that. And between where they haven't paved and where they have paved is a lip about like this. So I went down, and I didn't get home for a couple of months. I got injured pretty poorly, pretty badly. Anyway, I had so many friends show up. I was never alone. And when I spent time in the hospital, and then I went into a nursing home. And when I had to leave the nursing home, because my insurance said, you're well enough to leave now, I was grateful I got to leave, but I wasn't quite well enough to leave. I can't tell you how many people said, come stay with me. Come live at my house for the next month or so. Well, one man said it to me best, a friend. He came in and he brought me a cup of chai, a mug of chai, because he knows I love hot chai from Starbucks. And so he brought me a cup of chai, and he brought me a rather sizable check, because being self-employed, we have to keep the money coming in. And so I was in tears saying thank you. And by the way, he wasn't the only one who helped me out financially. And I will always be grateful. But I will remember forever what he said. He said, you've helped a lot of people. Now it's time for you to receive. And my friends, that's what love is. That's what love is. And we see it in action every day. But we have to put it in action in order to recognize it even. Will it change the world? Oh gosh, I hope so. Someday I think it will. Will it change it tomorrow? Maybe, maybe not. But you know what? It'll change your world. And it'll change maybe someone else's world. When you add love, when you live from that deep place of love. Does that mean you'll never shed tears? Of course not. You're going to shed tears. Does that mean you'll never hurt? Of course not. You're going to hurt. One of the things that hurt very much this week, and to all of our friends in Egypt, our hearts, our prayers go out to you. You know, in many of my workshops, we've done Sufi dancing. And when I was in Egypt, that goes back a few years also, but when I was in Egypt, I watched one of the Sufi dancers, and I could see this mystic touching the divine. And so when we've done it in my workshops, or when I just start spinning myself, and I'm not a Sufi, but I can tap into that energy. And when I feel that, I know what a sacred experience this is. And so all of those brothers and sisters of ours in Egypt know our hearts are with you through this horrific time. So living in love doesn't mean that life will always be easy. Living in love is often more difficult. But those of us who must do it didn't ask for the easy path. Which brings me to something else I don't want to forget to tell you. I am excited to announce that I am starting my year-long workshop again, and I titled it The Sacred Path. And what it does, it's a transformative year-long. We meet once a month in Ohio, and it's a transformative workshop to help you find what is your mission in life, and then to be able to do those processes and those exercises that help us get and have a community to hold up the energy for us, to help us realize what our mission in life is, and then help us to be able to find those ways of actually carrying it out. So if you feel called to the Sacred Path, please go below. I put the link right below me, and please do go and get signed up. We're going to start in January, so there's not a lot of time to get signed up. So do it, and if you pay you can save $200 if you pay up front, but I'll let you go read all about that. And while I am there, I want to say thank you for those of you who have inquired about Philip's book. Yes, just go to my website and click on store, and the books are all under there. So yes, Philip's book is available for those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about. This is my spirit guide, Philip, and he's given us a book, and each page has a different wisdom on it. And so we just flip through and we find a wisdom that will help us with today's talk. Now, you can get this. This book is available, and people do tell me they use it. And I've had a few of you write and ask, where can I get the book? Again, it's available through my website, or it's also available on Amazon.com. If that's easier for you, just go to Amazon.com and you can get it. So I want to thank all of you who have asked for that. I want to thank those of you who are contacting me for private readings. I'm very grateful to get to know you a little bit better, so thank you. And again, contact me through the website. That's the easiest way. So let's see what Philip has to say. And by the way, thank you all for your comments. I'm very grateful. You inspire me to keep doing this, because it's not necessarily easy putting ourselves out there. I think most of us do it because we don't have a choice. But your inspiration, your saying it helps you, keeps me going. So thank you. Now, we need to think left page or right page. So get your intuition going there. And I know some of you always guess the right page, or the correct page, I should say. I don't want to influence you. And then we just kind of flip through. And yes, I use this book every morning when I sit down to journal. I ask Philip for a message, and then I flip through the book and get my message for the day. So Philip, we need a message for this week, November 26th to December 2nd. And here we go. There we go. I am hearing right. But I think left is extremely important too. But this is right, and it goes right along with the holiday we've just celebrated. That for which you are thankful multiplies. So that's about staying in love too. That for which we are thankful multiplies. You know, if we're grousing about something, we're going to get more of that. If we're worried about something, we're going to get what we're worried about. But if we stay in that gratitude, let's say we need more income, more money, or we need a better job. If we're constantly talking about how much lack we're living in, we're going to get more lack. Let's talk about the prosperity that we're grateful for. So, you know, I have this thing, I started this years ago, and whenever I find a coin on the ground or in my pocket that I didn't know was there, or I found one the other day on the floor of my car, I found a dime, and that to me is manna from heaven. And so it's like, wow, thank you for this dime. I am so grateful for this money. And of course, then it explodes into more money. So remember, that for which you are thankful multiplies. Be thankful, jump up and down with joy, dance with joy. Stop the grousing, stop the worrying. All that does is hurt your life. Remember, love starts right here with each of us. Start with the love. Start loving yourself. Start loving your life, and be grateful for what you do have. Doesn't mean you don't want more. It doesn't mean you don't need something. But worrying about it isn't going to bring it forth. Being grateful for it will. Now, I wanted to read the left too, because I think this is extremely important today. If you cannot make peace within your heart, how can nations make peace within the world? If you cannot make peace within your heart, how can nations make peace within the world? Unfortunately, we are very close to not having any peace in our world. So we must create that peace in our private lives, so at least our lives have peace. You know, my mother used to say to me, when we start the nationalist uproar, nationalism, when we start war stories on the TV, when we really start honoring the warriors, and should we honor our soldiers, our warriors, we need, at this point in our lives, we need both the peacekeepers and the warriors. However, what she was getting at is when we do this, when patriotism becomes, that's when we are preparing for a war. And I've watched this happen, especially this last year. I've watched this America first. Well, I love America. It's my country. But I also love the world. And I know each of you love your country. And I think we want to celebrate all of these different cultures. Let's start with peace in our own hearts. Well, my friends, I thank you for indulging me today and being with me. I thank you for adding so much love to your lives. I thank you for making your world peaceful and loving as much as you can. It's not an easy road. It's much easier to grouse and be angry and call people names. That's the easy road. But you didn't come in here for the easy road. You came in here to walk the sacred path. And if you're interested in joining me, please do go on my website, check it out, and see if you're one of the people I need to have for this path next year. Until we meet again, I love you, my friends. My chair is growling, so I apologize. I'm trying to get closer to the camera so I can shut it down. But I thank you for being with me. I love you. I thank you for loving me. And I thank you for loving yourselves. Until we meet again.